Usually when I cover gaming news leaks on this channel, it comes by means of an insider, a disgruntled employee sneaking out with a USB thumb drive full of files for a game that isn't launching for a couple of years. However, this is the biggest Xbox leak in history, and it comes directly from the lime green mouth of Microsoft via some unredacted documents during their legal precedents recently during the FTC versus Microsoft. And what makes this the biggest leak is that Microsoft has laid out their entire game plan for the next 7 to 9 years with the Xbox consoles. We're talking midlife refreshes, we're talking the next generation of consoles. Microsoft is replacing their standard controller to be more durable in the long run. Unredacted emails during a legal case generally don't surface on the public domain, especially with this much in-depth detail that actually pertains to us, the gamers, the end users. The main meat and potatoes that I want to cover here is that Xbox is moving towards a discless console. Yes, they have the Series S, but that was an option. A cheaper console that, unlike the PlayStation 5 and digital version, weren't identical consoles. It has 4 teraflops versus the 12 on the Series X, doesn't have a disk drive, has 364 gigs of storage, not a terabyte. But now it seems the midlife refresh of the Series X, the flagship $500 console from Microsoft, is going to be discless or digital only, which, let me tell you right now, right up front, in fact, I'll pull a little resource for you here. There was a class action lawsuit against Sony that's been going on for the last 4 years due to PSN or PlayStation Network prices being 60% higher than other retailers to purchase digital games, and Sony had the market cornered because as of 2018, that's the only place you can buy digital games is through the PSN. You can no longer buy a little digital code from Best Buy or Walmart or on Amazon and type in the code and redeem a digital game that way. You either have to slide a disc game into that disc slot, or God for fucking bids, you bought that digital only console, which I've been advising gamers since November of 2020 when those consoles dropped to steer well and clear from the digital only version, unless that was the only console you could get your hands on at the time. But now that we're 2.5 years after launch of the 9th generation home consoles and they're becoming more readily available, digital only sucks the fat meat. And even if you don't care about Blu-ray movie collection or anything like that, Sony class action lawsuit, perfect example here. A game's been out for a year, 2 years, you can go to GameStop, buy it for $17. Log into the PlayStation Network, it's still $40, and that's if they're being polite and generous, because they rarely run sales on their $70 launch games. But the thing is, though, stuffing things, Sony still offers a full-fledged optical disc drive console. And it kind of hit me with a shocking little haymaker to the jaw that Microsoft is taking this route, the digital-only route, considering they've been doing a lot with that optical disc port. A whole hell of a lot. You slide in games from the Xbox 360, sometimes it doubles the frame rate, crispens up the resolution. Yeah, I'm talking about Red Dead Redemption 1, and runs that bitch at 4K 60. Insane. There's a whole vast catalog of games that have their frame rate doubled from 30 to 60 or 60 to 120, and a lot of those are disc-based games. And honestly, from this console generation, Microsoft has been at the forefront of backward compatibility in comparison to PlayStation and Nintendo. That is taking a big old fat step backwards, and not just a step back, that sprained its ankle and is now not the direction that they're heading. Also, the new console looks like an air purifier. It actually looks like my first gen Amazon Alexa, which I'm surprised the thing still runs. I've had it for 7.5 years. They don't even sell them anymore, but it looks exactly like this new console. Let's cover the details of this console and why this is a console I will never purchase, not even to review. I know, and that's crazy because I purchased the stupidest, most random gadgets and gazmos, consumer tech goodies to review on this channel. I mean, I've reviewed everything from necklace air conditioners to earbuds from the back alleys of Hong Kong, and I will not be touching this console. I even bought a PSVR 2 pretty much for the sole purpose of reviewing it. But when it's something this stupid, that's where I have to draw the line in the sand. This midlife refresh is going to roll out sometime in 24 with an advertised retail of $500. So that's the midlife refresh. That's the stepping off point for the next generation. The next full-fledged console launch is going to come in 2028 and is going to have a focus on hybrid computing. Okay, so back in the Xbox 360 era, we saw what happened with Kinect and trying to make the Xbox One a TV set-top box. That was the main primary focus of it, was that you could plug in a coaxial cable to your boomer box, your set-top cable TV, got a satellite dish on my ceiling. Does anybody still do this? Probably not. We've seen our share of gimmicky shit come out of Microsoft's doors, with the Kinect being the primary sole focus of the 360 at launch, and then the Xbox One, its main focus, its whole marketing push was that it was a TV set-top box. Didn't catch on, people didn't like it. Hybrid computing computing. I'm also assuming that people would like to have a separate computer, a laptop or desktop, and then a separate gaming device, a console. If they don't, if they're into hybrid computing, guess what? They're probably PC gamers, because you can already do computing and gaming on a computer. Now, in case you want to click off this video now because you think the whole thing's got a negative connotation to it, I'm just going to be bashing this news. Absolutely not. There are two pieces that got me quite tickled in the gamer nether regions. The first one is going to be this new controller. We're going to talk about it extensively. Now, this is the photo that's floating around the internet, and I'm sure Microsoft isn't happy about it, because to have all of your major plans for your console division for the next 6 years leaked to the public in a way to where you can't do a press release or a cool cinematic trailer, it's just, they're seeing this low resolution photo of what looks like an air purifier with no disk slot. Anyone that gets excited about this at first glance is I mean, I don't want to call some strangers bad words, but they're silly. So this was codenamed Brooklyn for the longest time, and we do know that this is officially the Xbox Series X refresh. Don't have an official production name yet, like the X2 or anything like that, but if we can give Xbox credit for having some of the worst naming conventions, this will probably be called the Xbox Series 720 or something. All right, let's see what this big hoss can do. 4K Gen 9 console gaming. We're already 4K console gaming on this generation, and even with the midlife refreshes of last generation, the PS4 Pro and the One X. Here we go though. Internal storage. It is doubled from 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte. That is that's an upgrade, because most modern games are over 100 gigs. Honestly, all these buzzwords here is a summary of these breakouts of the actual tech specs, the features, which I'd rather focus on than just, hey, you've got a more immersive controller, a beautiful, sexy console to stimulate you in the gamer nether regions. 2 terabyte SSD, double the storage. Fantastic. Beautiful and innovative new design. Me personally, I think the current Series X looks pretty good. I think the current PS5 also looks pretty good. Keep in mind, mine are customized because we leave nothing stock here at GamerHeaven. This air purifier here looks like something out of the Dyson catalog. This USB-A port is now replaced for a USB-C with better power delivery. Great, but not a big game changer for me. New immersive controller. You don't have to buy this console to be able to use the new controller. Well, that hasn't been announced yet, but I'm sure that it can work with the older consoles. That'd be silly if it doesn't. And I'm sure it'll work on PC as well, because PC has controller compatibility for fucking everything. Just push a driver pack. Now, this is interesting. They're talking about sustainability, probably less production costs, easier on the environment, focusing on the I/O. So where all those ports and plugs are on the back of your console or computer, your USB ports, your Ethernet port, all that crap in the back is getting replaced, and sustainable efforts to not be destroying the environment and shoving plastic straws up turtles' noses. Better Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card, Wi-Fi 6 instead of 5, Bluetooth 5.2 instead of, the reason you were so confused there, Big Hoss, lost in the sauce, is because the Xbox Series consoles, just like the Xbox One, actually don't have Bluetooth at all. The controllers do, but that's just so you can pair them to other devices. The Xbox consoles itself do not have a Bluetooth card on board. They're using Xbox Wireless for accessories, including controllers. The PlayStation 5 uses a 5.1 connection for its DualSense controllers. Xbox does not use Bluetooth for its controllers. It uses Xbox Wireless' own dedicated proprietary RF frequency they have yet to disclose to the public, although with leaks like this, it should be coming to us soon. But the thing is, this Bluetooth 5.2 won't speed up your wireless connection with your controller. It's just for improved accessory experiences. This is just going to be good for headsets and whatnot. 6 nanometer die shrink for improved efficiency, so should be a little bit cooler and less loud and whatnot. But honestly, side by side, I'm sure it's not going to be a kooky difference from a 6 nanometer shaving. And then if you drive a Prius, this is probably the section that you want to focus on over here. Improved sustainability story, reduced PSU power by 15%. So if you're pissed off that your electrical bill is through the roof because your Series X is running, something's wrong with your Series X, because they shouldn't be drawing that much power. You ain't crypto mining with the sucker or anything. But this console can run the same on 15% less juice in essence. I like to hear it. Same thing over here, and this is a nice little tweakaroonie, but could probably be done to the current Series X via an update, unless it's actual hardware components that have changed here. But a new low power standby mode of 20%. So that's a pretty fair difference in power draw when your console's just sitting there. Increased use of PCR on housing, 30 percentile, so probably more sustainable materials on this case, the plastics, and 100% recyclable packaging, the box that you probably are going to chuck out. Unless you're a streamer or YouTuber, they love to fill up a closet full of their boxes and stuff. I don't know why. Having read that, in my personal opinion, this is not an upgrade, even at the identical price of $500. Now, I will say, if you do not have a Series X yet and you're going to buy one, this might make the most sense for you. If, and only if, you don't care about physically owning any assets, any media, any games, that's fine. Some people are like, yeah, I don't own shit without a disc. And that's true. You can't sell it back to GameStop. You can't give it to a friend to borrow. It's installed on your console, attached to your account. You can't really do shit with it, but game with it until the company, Microsoft in this case, stops server support, at which case the game that you spent money on is no longer playable because the servers have run cold and it's a digital only copy. We've seen it with PlayStation 3 and PSP servers recently. You know, it just happens. These consoles, new versions, new generations games come out. This is why I don't live stream, because I just lost my train of thought completely, and I'd be sitting here just playing music and Spotify waiting to catch my train of thought here. But in a video, I can edit this out, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it in so you can see what a big dumb dummy I am. Ah, yes, I've caught up now. But if you don't care about owning physical media like discs and you have a Game Pass subscription, this console would make a heck of a lot of sense with a Game Pass subscription. Same thing as the Series S, because you already have that subscription service where all your games are already digital, launching day and date. So yeah, that makes sense, but I would still like to have an optical disc drive because I own games from the 360 and the Xbox One. I have DVDs and Blu-rays, which I hardly ever watch. From the standpoint that you don't own any of your media and it could just go away when the servers run cold because it's not a physical disc. Granted, unfortunately, some of those discs require an internet connection now too. My goodness. Nothing about this console screams a major update or upgrade. It's a little bit smaller. It's now circular or a big cylinder rather than a giant rectangle. USB-C instead of a USB-A port on the front, double the storage size, although you can just plug in a mechanical hard drive and run your Xbox One and older games, or if you want your Series games expanded, you can buy that very expensive Seagate expansion, which would still be a better option for most gamers than picking up this new digital-only console, in my opinion. And this leak just keeps getting deeper and just giving us more tidbits to nibble on. This document also included a leak for a new Bethesda game, including an Oblivion remaster. So yes, Bethesda is working on Elder Scrolls 6 officially after finishing Starfield, but they're also doing an Oblivion remaster, and there is already that one confirmed expansion pack for Starfield. And if you bought the premium edition, you're getting that for free. Well, not free, you've just paid for it up front. As well as Fallout 3, but the key word here is remaster. It is not a full-blown remake, so the game engine isn't new. It's not going to have new gameplay mechanics, new characters, new voice acting, or anything like that, which is good because the core story of 3 is bomb. But that gameplay is definitely looking and feeling a little old. I mean, you can't even aim down sights in Fallout 3, and that's still probably going to be the case, but it is going to be remastered with that resolution cranked to the right, probably some prettier textures, maybe even ray tracing. But here's where things get really stinky if you're not about cloud gaming or mobile gaming or gaming where you don't own physical discs or media. As where Microsoft's plan by 2028 is pretty much to focus almost completely on its cloud gaming services, so xCloud and Game Pass, which Game Pass isn't always cloud gaming. You can install games to your hard drive. But by 2028, that might not so much be the case as they are really pushing for that cloud gaming. Didn't Stadia just close its doors after being a huge commercial failure? I mean, you'd think these massive companies like Microsoft would be like, well, technology ain't gonna change too much in the next 5 years to where cloud gaming is gonna be the shit, but you know, whatever. What the hell do I know? I'm just a guy on the internet. Now let me explain our vision. Not your vision, not my vision, Microsoft's vision. To develop a next generation hybrid game platform, not a console, bitch, a platform capable of leveraging the combined power of the client, that's us, and the cloud, that's the devil, to deliver deeper immersion and entirely new classes of game experiences. I'm trying to picture what that would be, but we've seen cloud gaming thus far. It's basically like gaming on native hardware, except with input lag and delay and a resolution cap of 1080p. And that's even if you have outstanding stellar home internet. Just so you know, I'm not blowing smoke up your patooties. About a month ago, I spent about a week dicking hard with the Amazon Luna. I have pretty solid home Wi-Fi. I get about 1300 down and 1100 up when I'm connected via Ethernet, and around 600 down on my Wi-Fi network throughout the house. Cloud gaming was still not that fun for me. There was only like 2 games that I played that were older indie titles, like little platformers that were playable. All the modern AAA titles I tried to play, I wouldn't even attempt it or recommend it to my worst enemy. Optimized for real-time gameplay and creators, we will enable new levels of performance beyond the capabilities of the client hardware alone. Yeah, that's the dream, the vision of cloud gaming, you know, the Netflixes of gaming and whatnot. We haven't seen that implemented correctly yet, whether it's technology limitations or just the way these companies are approaching the whole situation. Hasn't been great thus far, but maybe these tech specs right here will change the game. Central processor unit, you got an ARM 64X64 Zen 6 processor. They've got some really complicated scientific terms in here. Balance of big and little CPU cores. Big surprise here, AMD is still going to be rocking the APU inside these consoles. NVIDIA hasn't had any love from the consoles in a hot minute. AMD seems to just be the APU producer for everything. The Steam Deck, the Z1 processor and the Ally, both the consoles. The Switch is the only thing rocking an NVIDIA Tegra CPU, and that was underpowered 6 years ago. I am not saying AMD is better than NVIDIA. Now over here in the nipple penile unit, or NPU, you have balancing for the desire of flexible, programmable ML silicone versus high performance silicon. It said silicone over here and silicon over here. Those are different things, but it's okay for targeted workloads. We've seen the word backward compatibility thrown around a whole heck of a lot. Forward compatibility, meaning that this is going to be future proof, because you can just keep downloading cloud games that are getting better. And since you're not running on your native hardware, you're running from a cloud server that's 6,000 miles away. It doesn't matter matter how advanced that game becomes, that air purifier looking Xbox refresh you brought will be able to handle it. They mentioned ray tracing. We have that on the current consoles. And then they mention over here a thin OS or operating system for consumer or handheld devices. Keep our eye on that. Handheld PCs and consoles definitely seem to be a titan in the gaming world right now. And then over here we can see a roadmap getting progressively stinkier and ending over here in the landfill of cloud/hybrid games, which I've been bashing on this entire video. But in all reality, by 2028, I have no idea what cloud gaming will look like. It might be amazing. It might be exactly what all these companies have described when Google was describing Stadia to us and we were nodding along saying, wow, that sounds really cool. I hope it works out. Or when Amazon drops Luna, or Nvidia's had GeForce Now for like 10 years. Maybe cloud gaming will someday slap me sideways with surprise. Hasn't happened yet though. And then this means absolutely nothing over here. Just some marketing buzzwords, immersive game and app platform. And I've got some tables, some charts here that we're going to stare at for a second. Okay. We've looked at that one. Yep. The reason I'm just brushing over these is these slides were meant for investors around the roundtable and then also the FTC or Federal Trade Commission during that litigation process. So this isn't for us to be like, this is where this is where the consoles are going to go. These were slides prepared for that FTC versus Microsoft. So it isn't really going to be catered or even like legible or understandable for us. It's just going to be like, this is our corporate structure here. We're going to fuck them over here. And then we're going to get less fucked with our quarterlies over here. And again, this is talking about leadership and their corporate structure and how their company works. I can't make heads or tails of this. This is just confusing. What does this vertical line represent? XGP subs. Okay, how about this one? Okay, this is time. Okay, I get it now. This is going to be the 10th generation console launch right here, which is going to be exclusive for cloud gaming and PC first gamers, meaning if you don't have a gaming PC, you can run this air purifier to play PC-like games. This document continues to give us leaks as we have a cloud console called Keystone that's a project in development with a one-handed controller. This is a terrible quality photo. And they've got some experience on their team when it comes to cloud gaming, as Kim Swift, not related to Taylor, a former Google Stadia design director, best known for Valve's Portal, was hired in 2021 by Microsoft, most likely to head up that project Keystone, making that new cloud console. Microsoft is going with a cloud gaming approach, which I think is a terrible decision. What do I know? I've been gaming for 28, 29 years. It's just my opinion, brother, sister, stallion, stallionette, share screen. On a happier note, one of the things leaked in this massive internal document that just continues to give for us is that Xbox Design Lab, which is where you can customize your Xbox controllers, even the expensive Elite Series 2, you can pimp that sucker out, coloring each individual component. It's actually very in-depth. But now you're going to be able to do the Xbox Series X consoles. It says in the future, so I'm hoping you can still do the rectangular brick console and not the circular air purifier, because I won't be buying that console. And it'd be cool if you could customize the little Series S as well. It's not mentioning that here, but Series S owners would like to pimp out their console as well. Share the love with the little brother. But this project, consoles coming to Xbox Design Lab, has its own code name or project name as well. It's Uther. So Brooklyn is the new Series X and Elwood is the Series S. And then Uther is going to be pimping out your consoles in the Design Lab. Last thing we got to talk about, that controller. Now this sucker is set to launch May of next year, and I'd be shocked if you can't just pair this up to your existing Xbox Series or even one console, as Microsoft has had backward and forward cross compatibility with all of their accessories, headsets, controllers, etc. Of course, there is a code name for this project, you silly. It's Sabile. Sounds like a granny car. She drives a Buick Sabile. Formerly called the Xbox Universal Controller, according to the leak. The main focus of this controller, why Xbox is coming out with a new controller, it isn't really to introduce new Pro controller features or anything like that. It's actually sustainability and improved durability. This last one is a big deal, improved durability, because Microsoft controllers have a terrible quality control reputation, which also extends to its premium or Pro controllers, the Elite Series 1 and 2, and the Core, which is identical on the internals to the Elite Series 2. I did a side-by-side teardown or comparison when they launched. It's identical. There is no difference in components. But this entire controller is designed to be not only more durable, so it won't break on you, but also more sustainable, less impact on the environment, less straws in the noses of turtles, less ducks covered in oil spills and all that shit. Now this is just diggity McDumb. One of the most notable features of this new controller is a swappable rechargeable battery. So if your battery dies, you can simply replace it rather than buying a new controller. Well, I actually made a video about 8 months ago saying that I liked Xbox approach to using rechargeable batteries, or disposables I should say, because you pop those disposables in, you're up and running immediately. You don't have to wait for your controller to charge. But if you want to get recharge packs, Amazon is littered with them. I've reviewed 3 or 4 different models on the channel. They usually come with 2 or 3 battery packs and a dock charger cradle for about $20 to $30, and will save you a fortune on disposables, but you still have the option of going disposable. Now, you're not going to have that option. You're going to have this rechargeable unless you can still use AA disposables. disposables, which some third-party controllers on the market do have that feature where you can use 2 AA disposables, or it comes with a recharge pack. Although if they're trying to take this environmentally friendly approach, this makes sense to not be asking your consumers to use disposables and to dispose them, to just reuse your battery until it shits out on you, and then throw that one in the landfill. This controller will be made with recycled materials and less resin to reduce waste. I hope that doesn't actually affect how the controller feels build quality wise, where it just feels like you have a Fisher-Price toy in your hand. I'm all for saving the environment, but sometimes when I get past one of those biodegradable straws that just disintegrates after the first sip, I get a little bit pissed. I am all for saving the environment, but I also want things to just work like they should. New modular thumbsticks and improved longevity are detailed in the hardware map in efforts to up the durability and reliability of the controller. Good, they've been watching GamerHeaven reviews. Precision haptic feedback, VCA haptics, which double as speakers, an accelerometer, and quieter buttons. Another weird feature that I hope you can disable in the settings is your controller will automatically wake once lifted. What if I pick up my controller, but I'm just moving it to my coffee table or something? I don't want it to turn on. And then it says connectivity options are wireless only. How? Does it not have a USB-C port on the top for charging? And can I not use that charging port to plug into my console or PC to play wired? Because if that's the case, that's bad. Granted, I prefer to play wireless. I do it almost 95% of the time when I'm using a controller, but when I'm playing at the PC, I'm probably going wired. And all those tutorials that you've been following along with, where I'm overclocking controllers, or I'm measuring the polling rate, or I'm testing the thumbsticks, or diddling with them in DS4 Windows, all that works better with a wired connection. Well, Sweet Ass Seville is going to release in the end of May of 24. Oh, why you got to go and say something like that? That is it's just wrong. It's just blatantly wrong. That's crazy. That's fun. For somebody that's tested and reviewed over 100 controllers, most of them in the premium or pro controller realm, to call this the world's best controller is just pinching my nips and not letting go. But it says now playing on a screen near you. It is going to have multiple platform compatibility, including the Xbox, obviously, but direct to cloud. But that's going to be cloud gaming. So if you have xCloud app installed on your tablet, phone, or console, this will work as well. And you have Bluetooth 5.2. So any device that supports Bluetooth, you should be able to pair this bitch up. There is a new mobile app, which I guess could be useful if you're using this to xCloud on a tablet or phone and you want to customize things like your button mapping, vibration strength, etc. But if you're playing on the Xbox Series console, all you need to do is go into the options, Xbox accessories, and that is where you control your controllers. That's where you do the updates. That's where you do diagnostics if something's wrong. So you don't need a separate mobile app, which probably collects your data as well. Now they are making the jump to haptic feedback instead of those traditional rumble force vibration motors, which will have a stronger peak vibration, also be a lot more accurate, so it can reproduce hundreds of different effects, exactly like we're seeing with the DualSense. That will mean that future games from Xbox Studios will need to program in the effects for haptic feedback. And older games are still going to use the haptic rumbles, but it's just going to be doing the same sloppy rumbly effect as those rumble force motors. Haptics actually need to be programmed into future games. Now those VCA haptics actually double as speakers. I do not think that this is going, well, I'll go further than saying I do not think. I'd be scientifically shocked if this is going to work like the speaker inside of the PlayStation controllers, where it can produce all kinds of sounds. It can talk to you, play a radio, whatever. This is probably going to only hit certain frequencies based on the humming or vibration of those haptics. That's all I can think of. How else would haptic vibration motors double as working speakers, unless there is just a major advancement in alien technology that I'm not caught up with? An accelerometer, so a feature that PlayStation has had since I think the 3 or the 4, the 6-axis motion sensing, that's coming to Xbox, and then quieter buttons and thumbsticks. Doesn't specify, but I'm assuming they're talking about the face or action buttons over here, which I've never had a real complaint with their sound. They're a membrane switch, so there's a rubber plunger underneath them, and because of that design, they're really not that loud, but I guess they're going to be quieter. And as far as the thumbsticks being noisy, I've never had to pop in earplugs because I'm using an Xbox controller, so I don't know what the heck they're talking about, but quieter, yes, good. And again, if you drive a Prius, you're not 34 years old, maybe you care a little bit more about the environment, sustainability, bitch, do good. Feel good. When I'm popping in that rechargeable, I feel good about myself. When I look down at my controller and see the cheap plastics, I know that it was recycled. Makes me smile. And when I have to repair my controller constantly because it breaks, I know I'm doing my part for the environment. A lift to wake feature, which I'll be disabling. Hopefully I can do that. And this is important. It mentions that it has the same identical ergonomics as Merlin, which is the current controller. Same thing with the buttons. You're not going to have to get used to a new layout or anything. Same layout and activation forces. So the triggers aren't going to have increased or decreased resistance. It's going to be like you're picking up a controller you're already used to. And And this is important to note, special editions, limited editions, and whatever this one means, options are expected. So of course some cool colorways, themes, and maybe even a Pro Controller variant of this. It's pretty sick that you can customize your Xbox Series X in Design Lab, coming soon. Also, that new controller looks good for the environment and like a pretty good step up for durability, although Microsoft has been touting the same for the Elite Core, which I disassembled. Identical. The core components, the core components, see what I did there? The internal components are identical to the Series 2. It's silly. I simply won't be picking up that piece of tech, not just because it doesn't have that optical disk drive, that's the main point, but furthermore, to charge the same price for a console whilst removing a feature that will, in the long run, save the gamer a shitload of money by buying either used or being able to sell your games when you're finished with them to counteract the purchase of new games. I think the console is a step back cosmetically. I think it looks less sensual than that big rectangular brick. Looks pretty good in my opinion, especially mine with that wrap on there. I've jaw-jacked and lip smacked for enough. I've let my river of thoughts careen down all of your chest, and now it's your turn to drop in the comment section below your opinion of this situation. This huge, it is by far the biggest Xbox leak that I've ever seen. I mean, they put all their cards on the table. They're like, yeah, this is a new controller. We're gonna be doing cloud gaming. Here's a new console coming pretty soon. Here's a new console coming in about 5 years. We're doing the cloud gaming thing full force, full regalia. Here's a controller designed by hybrid owners to be less offensive to the environment, but also more durable for you, which is phenomenal. But something about the path that Xbox has taken just gets me steamed up.
You're going down a path I can't follow because of what you've done, what you plan to do. Stop. Stop now. Come back.
I will see you Stallions and Stallionettes tomorrow. Peace. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers. This information will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover news in the gaming community and industry, tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, as well as honest gaming product reviews, keyboards, mice, headsets, controllers, mics, chairs, etc. There are some hefty exclusive discount codes found only in the description of my videos and only for the audience here at GamerHeaven. I have links to all my other platforms and socials in the description below. To get in touch with myself and the Stallions and Stallionettes of GamerHeaven, join the community Discord, and check me out at twitch.tv where I go live every other leap year on a blue moon if it falls into an odd calendar number, and my pH balance is on point. Just kidding, starting June I'm going to be live streaming a lot. Thanks for watching. This has been AK40 Kevin hosting GamerHeaven, and I'll see you tomorrow because I upload daily, all the time, 60% of the time, sometimes, most of the time. Peace.